I want you to imagine for a moment that you're walking through the produce aisle at your supermarket. And you pick out some bananas, and you pick out some apples, and you go and start looking at the oranges or whatever, and you see one of the workers at your grocery store, your local market, wherever you are, where there's produce, and you see them with the syringe taking a piece of fruit, like a pear, and sticking the syringe and injecting something into that piece of fruit, or whatever your favorite, maybe it's a peach, whatever your favorite piece of fruit is. I love peaches and apricots and those kinds of summer fruit. So he puts that down, and he picks up another one, and he gets another syringe and injects it with something, puts it back down, and you're like, you look at the fruit that's in your basket, you look at him injecting something into the fruit, and you're thinking, I don't know what he's doing, but I don't want to eat that. And I don't know what he's done to the fruit I've put in my basket. So you walk up to him, not even wanting to touch the fruit that's in your basket because it might have been injected with stuff. Who knows? And you go, do you work here? What are you doing? And, oh, yeah, I work here. This is what we do when the fruit isn't good. What do you mean this is what you do when the fruit isn't good? Well, if the fruit isn't very sweet, then we fix it. We add some sugar to the fruit. And it's not a problem because what we're adding is just what it's lacking. Well, how do you know exactly what is lacking? And that's not how that's supposed to happen. And that's not a natural byproduct of how the fruit is. I mean, there's all kinds of problems with you taking sour fruit and injecting some serum in it, some synthetic thing to make it sweeter. That would be awful, right? Little blueberries, cats going, blueberries. Can you imagine injecting little syringes into every single blueberry? Or what if they were spraying all the blueberries with some chemical to make them bluer? They're injecting something in the fruit to make them sweeter. They're spraying the blueberries and the strawberries to make them bluer and redder. Maybe they're doing something to the coconuts or the oranges to make their surface the right texture. You don't want someone shellacking the oranges, right? You want to know that what you're getting is what you're expecting. You want the natural result of the fruit. I would rather have sour fruit than have it chemically injected after the fact with something trying to fix the problem. Are y'all with me? Y'all see the problem with this? I'm not talking, this message is not about the supermarket. I'm trying to say that we often are trying to fix the results of things. And Scripture is full of a singular idea of not trying to fix the results, but rather not trying to manipulate the results. How do we adjust the end result of things? Instead, Scripture has a whole different paradigm. Over and over and over, it talks about focusing on the root. Don't focus on the fruit. Don't try to manipulate the fruit. Don't try to fake the fruit. Don't try to produce fruit. You worry about the root. You worry about the vine. You be plugged into the right source and let the results take care of itself. When I was a kid, I was a tennis player. I was a pretty serious tennis player. And I had learned some bad habits in my playing, but I had then advanced with those bad habits. And so I'm very short. I've always been short. I was a small kid, and I'm about 5'5". And so for my peers and for my gender and all of that, I'm pretty short. And yet I was kind of athletic. So I was limited in the sports that I could play. And I wish I'd gotten into cross country. Would have been very healthy for me. I didn't know. But I got into tennis, and I was a very serious youth tennis player. And I started pretty young. And by the time I was with good coaches in highly competitive venues, playing for championships or playing in solo tournaments or whatever, I had some tough choices to make. If I was going to improve my serve, being pretty short as a tennis player, if I was going to improve my serve past a certain level, which I really needed to do because I was compensating for not being the biggest, fastest, strongest guy out there. If I was going to do that, then I was going to have to change, not fix little things about aim a little bit closer to this line or try to put a little bit more spin on the ball. I couldn't fix little things to adjust to manipulate the outcome of where my serve landed. I was going to have to go back and fix a core problem in my form. Now, the problem is if I went back and learned to serve entirely differently, if I went back to the basics of serving and had to force myself to do it in a way that was contrary to how I had been doing it for years, then I was going to get a whole lot worse before I got any better. But where I was, I had to decide, am I going to get much better than where I am now? Or am I going to keep just trying to tweak the results of what I'm getting with what I've got? Or am I going to go back and improve the structure and form of what I'm doing, kind of start over? So I'm going to be a very advanced player with a very basic, awkward, strange serve for a while and learn to do it entirely differently. That's actually harder than learning to do it from scratch. And I ultimately chose to do that. And I had about 9 months where it was very awkward and I didn't do very well. But after that period of time, I went to an entirely different level of competitiveness because of the weapon that serve became. But I had to give up something. Don't miss this. I had to give up something in the moment to make something right at the root. I had to give up some of the fruit in the moment to make something right at the root. I want you to imagine, see if we can put this into perspective. I want you to imagine that you've got a bow and arrow, right? And there's a target. And you are really trying to aim carefully. So you hold that bow and arrow real close to you and you pull it back as far as you can, just like this. It's very awkward, right? They say pull it back to your ear, but you're trying to aim really close. So you've got one end of the bow here, and you've got one. I guess they call that the staff and the string, something like that. You got the air, and you're pulling it back like this. And you let go, and it goes dunk. There's no amount of trying to fix and correct your aim that is going to make this kind of shooting an arrow work. The problem is not that you aimed badly. If I adjust my aim, I need to shoot a little higher so it'll go a little farther. That's never going to make me a good archery. What do you call an archery person? An archer, I guess. It's never going to make me a better archer with a bow and arrow. I'm going to have to change my form, not just change my aim. You and I need to not try to, in society, in life, in our families, in our own habits, in our way of thinking, in our finances, we need to adjust how we approach problems, not trying to manipulate results like a syringe in fruit, like fixing my aim, like making minor adjustments to how I'm manipulating the ball with bad form in my serve. We need to stop trying to just manipulate the results and start focusing on the cause of problems. We need to go to the root of issues. We need to look at the foundational problems that are causing the buildings to lean in our society, in our culture.